The world was worthy, not of me. God chose that I move on. I know the pain that drowned your soul, what you are forced to face. You have my word, I'll fill your arms. Someday we will embrace. You'll hear that you'll hear that it was meant to be. God doesn't make mistakes, but that won't soften your worst blow or make your heart not ache. I'm watching over all you do, another child you'll bear. Believe me when I say to you that I'm always there. There will come a time, I promise you, when you will hold my hand, stroke my face, and kiss my lips, and then you'll understand. Although I've never breathed your air or gazed into your eyes, that doesn't mean I was never. An angel never dies. Thank you, Shell.
Thank you so much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That is one of my favorite poems that I found years ago. I still to this day have never found who the author of that poem is, but it's still a poem that resonates with me, and I'm sure so many others. So I want to go ahead and get, let me make sure, check the chat. Let's see, make sure our Sister Malika, is Sister Malika back on?
I'm back.
Oh,
I had to come on my phone because I don't know what's going on. Internet tripping on my computer. So.
You know what? I don't even want to talk about the internet. But yes, ma'am, it is an honor to have you today. I'm going to share my screen really quickly just so I can post, show you guys this Sister Malika's, sorry, I'm drawing a blank, her social media information. I met the sister online on Instagram, and she has been just a beautiful presence to have on Instagram. First of all, she has like the most amazing homeschooling resources. Like I'd be like, all right, let me go see what we doing today. And so, and not only that, but recently, I think it was like a week or so ago, she actually did a live with her and her husband. And that was just amazing to just hear just their perspective in marriage throughout the years, and to hear, I love hearing like from somebody I feel like I can relate to, like they get it. So that was an absolute honor. So I was more than excited when she wrote me and was like, sis, I might be interested. And I'm like, yes. And so I want to go ahead and give you the floor. You guys, this is her social media and her website. Make sure you screenshot this or whatever you want to do. I'll share it again at the end, but go check sis out. But I'm going to give you the floor, sis, and let you go ahead.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. Hi. This is like probably the most nervous I've ever been, because I've never actually shared this, so I feel special. And Sister Michelle's always gonna have a special place in my heart that I'm able to. She's the first person I talk to about it. But I love what you're doing because you're erasing the stigma around it. And as a, speaking of stigmas, because I had the miscarriage so long ago. I'll give my story, but I had the miscarriage in 2015. Which was a long time ago, but literally this is the first time I'm sharing it because it took me a minute to actually come to terms with it being what it was. And a lot of times, because the stigma is, this is normal, you know what I mean? And people tell you, this is normal, this happens all the time, that you're like, wait, nobody told me this happens all the time. It didn't feel normal to me. But it was 2015, and at that time, me and my husband weren't on the best terms, and to begin with. So that's also what encouraged me to speak more with my husband, and me and my husband speaking out more, because we realized what it did for our marriage. So I had already had 2 children. Me and my husband got married. I was 19 years old. So I had already had 2 children, and we were just, in the 5th year of our marriage, it was just rough. You know what I mean? Now we really know each other. Now we're getting to the thick of it. There's a baby and a toddler. We're not getting along. They 2 years apart. I just had a baby and now I'm pregnant again. So the coming to terms with the fact that I was pregnant in the first place was hard for me. So when I experienced the miscarriage, I was a little over 3 months in. And by then, most of us, if you have had a baby, know that when you're 3 months in, you know, like you pregnant, because you wait for your, I had 2 children already. So this is like, this ain't nothing new. I go to the doctor when I feel like it's been weeks. I know my period didn't come. I'm pregnant. You know what I mean? So by then I knew I was pregnant because I was well into the pregnancy. I experienced the miscarriage, and it wasn't an easy one. I had to get surgery. We just weren't getting along. So even in telling him that at that moment I was having the miscarriage, it was the middle of the night, and not to get too graphic, but there was a lot of blood. And I just woke him up and let him know, like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but this is, kind of painful. This is not normal. I'm not used to this. So I woke him up and we went to the emergency room, and even in just toting 2 children to the emergency room, one is 2 and one is 3 months old. And it's like, oh my gosh, in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, having to bring everybody to the hospital. When I got there, the nurse, she was very, very nice, which I was glad about, because the person I had after her was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible person who just didn't have any compassion. This is my job and this is what I do every day kind of demeanor. Oh, you're all right. Stay here. Right. I was in the emergency room waiting for about 5 hours. I tell you no lie. Like literally like 5 hours. And to the point where my husband was like, where's my wife? Because I was in the room just waiting. And finally when the person came in and they had to remove what was left, they told me I needed surgery because it was pretty tough in there. So I had to have surgery, and that was not normal for me because I'm the kind of person, I don't even like taking Advil. When I have a headache, I don't like Tylenol. If I got a headache, I rough it out. If I have cramps, I rough it out. So experiencing that for me was very traumatic because I'm not used to feeling like I don't have control. And because I didn't have control, and God knows my heart, that's a hard thing for me to release, is control to somebody else. Right. And I have nothing to do with it. I can't give you advice. I can't say do it like this. I can't say, like, even when I have babies, it's like, no, put the put the IV here. Put it right here in this hand, not that hand. It's better. I give too many instructions. Yes. So being in that moment, I didn't have control. And that for me was very, 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 very traumatic. And I remember feeling like, this is all your fault to my husband because we weren't getting along. And it was the same night we had an argument. And that night I experienced, I was like, this is all your fault. This is happening because we're not getting along. You're stressing me out. The boys need this. You got to help me more. And all kinds of things that we go through in our marriages. But I put it on him. After experiencing it, and I think my mom and my sister are in here inside the event right now, they called me because my husband called everyone and let them know, like, Malika's in the hospital. She has to go into surgery. She's still there because I had to stay overnight and everything. And I remember my mother calling me and asking me, how are you doing? And I was just like, I'm good. Are you sure you all right? Yep. My sister calling me, are you okay? Yep, I'm fine. Well, you just had a miscarriage. Yeah. We arguing anyway. It's all right. Like, just brushing it off. And I didn't realize not only was I not coming to terms with how I was feeling, but my husband on the other end was looking at me like, wow, she's acting like nothing happened. So him saying to me, like, that was kind of a bummer. Like, are you okay? And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm good. When I got home, I remember just drowning in like, I'm goodness for about 2 years, actually. Wow. Literally. But I remember specifically that first month when I got home, when I tell you I was cleaning, like moving the refrigerator and sweeping behind the fridge, like, for what? Moving the stove and sweeping behind it, just saying like, this is normal because that's what everyone told me, and trying to rationalize in my mind, like, this is normal. This happens all the time because everybody's telling me this happens all the time.
Right.
But then looking back at it, as I started to come to terms with it, and then the other part of it was me not feeling like I was an adequate enough advocate for miscarriages because I already have 2 children. So there's women who are going through this who don't have any, right, and want to have a baby, and you're sitting there ungrateful. That's what I was saying to myself. You're ungrateful. You were pregnant. You ain't want to have a baby, and that's why it happened, because you were ungrateful that you're able to have children. You have 2 already. So who are you to be the advocate or be upset when there's women who can't have children?
Wow.
And hearing that, even when people started to find out that I experienced it, like, oh, at least you have children already. And it's like, well, that doesn't make it feel any better. Like, right, you know, it's still the same. And I had to really come to terms with that. And I remember it was maybe like 3 months later, and I just stayed up in the middle of the night. And one night I just bawled my eyes out. Like, I bawled it out. My best friend, she was having a baby shower. Oh. And that's what made me go, like, I'm not ready to go to no baby showers. Mm-hmm. And I just bawled my eyes out. And that's when I realized, okay, you are not okay with this.
Right.
And you have to be honest with the fact that you're not okay with what happened. And that was what set me on, like, really looking deeper inside. But it took about 2 years for me to literally, like, just feel okay with it. It was like I was a different person. I was kind of like my husband would say, like, she got zombie face. That's what I was doing. I was like a zombie, going through the motions, doing what I got to do every day. And then that is what it is. And now having 5 children now, still feeling like, because I got pregnant with my 3rd son probably about 6 months later, not that long after, and still feeling like, don't share it with people, because it's like, you keep having children, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? You had 2 already. You had the miscarriage. Now you're going to have more. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? And it's still, a loss is a loss.
Right.
It's like, if you have, I don't know how to explain it in the best way, but anything that you lose that you value, it doesn't matter how many you have of them. It's like if you have diamond earrings, and there's no value to a child. But if you had 3 diamond earring sets, you don't want to lose one of them just because you have 2 more. You know what I mean? Right. So that feeling of allowing myself to feel and actually being like, okay, this is not normal. Mm-hmm. This is not something that women go through it every day. You know, hush, don't tell anybody you're pregnant until you're 6 months in, and that's what I did as well. Don't tell anybody till I'm showing, because I don't know what's going to happen. It made me nervous.
Right.
So that's why I'm thankful for platforms like this, that you're showing me that just sharing it lets other women know you're not alone. That's A. Because I know a lot of women who have had children already and feel like they can't share because they already have children.
Right.
And it's hard for all of us in our many different ways of experience it, but allow yourself to feel what you've experienced. And even if you can relate even on a little level, that's going to help somebody. Right. So I thank you so much for a platform like this, because it allows us to share it. And then in me sharing it made my marriage better. It actually made me more creative, because it's like, all right, let me let some of this energy out that I'm feeling. So I was able to start businesses like the one I had just from allowing myself to feel. So I thank God as well for bringing me through it, because that's what he do. He always there. He never leaves us alone. So I just thank you. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Like, again, when I put out the alert that I we were looking for speakers, and when you emailed me, I'm like, is this Sister Malika? And I'm like, I had already interacted with you on Instagram, so I'm like, wait, I'll wait till she sent another email. And then I was like, oh, this is, but it's amazing how things like loss can bring us together to bond on a whole different level. Mm-hmm. Your story, even just the glimpse, because that was just the glimpse, that was just the overview of it, but even hearing it there is so much in it that I can pull and relate to. You spoke, and I was trying to keep up with everybody's comments. I see your sister in the comments, bearing how you were acting during your loss. You know, so I see her in the comments. But just your willingness to share that, I think it brought about some things, even with myself. Like, I felt like after my loss, I was like the one people, you know, kind of went to for everything. And I felt like immediately after my loss, friends were calling me for I shouldn't say for no reason. Friends were calling me. They were pregnant, calling me. What are you calling me for? Don't. And, you know, and it was literally that. Like, I never had this many friends calling me about getting pregnant, wanting to be pregnant. Oh, I am pregnant. Oh, I'm planning the baby shower. I'm like, you know, and so that just kind of made me remember of that space that I was in, coming home from the hospital after everything happened. I could not say baby for the longest without breaking down. I couldn't pray for the longest without being filled with anger. There was so much it took me maybe a year or two to get through that. But I just thank you for sharing what you shared. And again, that was just a glimpse, you guys. We'll have to get her again. But even the marriage aspect, being married and going through what you went through at that time, you know, that's a whole nother, we're going to get you again, Sister Malika. But I thank you again from the bottom of my heart. So we're going to keep it moving. We're going to go ahead and go to our second speaker. Let me double check and make sure there aren't any questions for Sister Malika before I go on to Angelica. No questions, but I hear a lot of bearing witness. Releasing control is hard. You are not alone in that. A loss is a loss. Giving ourselves permission to feel it is okay not to be okay. Absolutely, Tanika. Being honest with ourselves is so important, but also so difficult. Absolutely. Stigma is like that because we are taught in America that a baby is not a baby until it's born. Anissa, yes. And that's the reality of being, you know, living in here. Like, literally, they don't count your baby until, like, oh, your baby don't count unless the baby was actually physically here. But that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. All right, so let's move it along. Allah puts his toughest trials on the strongest servants. Absolutely. So let's go on. So we are going to our sis. I'm going to share my screen again so I can put up sis Angelica's information before we get her on here. Again, another sister I actually came across on Instagram. And I think I came across her page from, I think, Erica. It may have been Erica from Sisters in Loss. And I think, I don't know how, I just came across, I found you on there. And I was like, oh, I'm very, like, when I see stuff that catches my eye, it pulls me in. So I looked at your page and I think it was a post. First of all, the butterflies all over. It was just like, okay, like, it was warming. I knew it was pregnancy and infant loss related, but just following your page, even within the last 4 months, I want to say, has been so uplifting, uplifting. I know I follow a lot of pregnancy and infant loss pages, advocacies, different things like that. But literally, when I be like having those days, I'd be like, okay, let me go see what the lost butterflies, what you post, because you post stuff of value. You know what I mean? You post stuff that speaks to you, but actually speaks to everyone else. So you guys, her social media is right on the screen at The Lost Butterflies on Instagram. You guys can follow her and support what she is doing. As you can see all her titles on the screen. She's a mother, she is a wife, a nurse, a birth and bereavement doula. She is a PAIL advocate, which is a pregnancy and infant loss advocate. She's a lactation educator and an aspiring midwife. So saying all of that, sis, and it's an honor. I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor.
Thank you so much. So hi, everybody. I'm Angelica. I'm the founder of the Lost Butterflies. So I started the Lost Butterflies because my husband and I experienced secondary infertility after having our daughter. And through that, we had 3 miscarriages throughout that journey. That went on for about 3 years. I think that when we think about, well, specifically when I think about my journey, I think about how I made all these plans for myself. I think that we, a lot of times, have all these visions and have all these plans that we make for ourselves. And we may even be, praying and in our faith and going to God with them. But I think a lot of times that we take full control and like, this is how I want my life to go. And that's kind of what we did. We were like, we wanted our kids to be close in age, and we had all these ideas of how it was going to go. It was going to be a boy, and we just knew all these things. But it didn't go that way at all. So when my daughter was about 2.5, we started trying. For about 6 months to 7 months, we couldn't even get pregnant. Like, we weren't having any luck. We were tracking ovulation and doing all these things, and nothing was happening. And when we finally got pregnant, we were so excited. We were ecstatic. We announced it. We made a huge announcement, everything. My daughter took pictures. She had on a cute little shirt that said she was going to be a big sister. So everybody knew. And a couple of weeks later, we went to the doctor for our very first appointment, and they were like, there's no baby in the sac. It was just an empty sac. And the ultrasound lady was very brief in her explanation of that. It was just like, there's nothing there. Come back in a couple of weeks. We'll see if something's there later. So we were devastated. We didn't know really how to process that. We were just like, what's going on? We felt like God gave us a promise, and here we are, and it's empty, So through that waiting period of those 2 weeks, I was like so anxious. I was nervous. I was frustrated. I was like, what's going on? Like, we already announced it. Everybody knows, So I was starting to get embarrassed because I'm like, okay, if this goes left, I have to face everybody. So a couple of weeks later, we went back. I was 12 weeks, and we went into the ultrasound room. I was nervous. My husband was nervous. It was just very awkward. And as we were in there, again, she was like, there's no baby in the sac. What you have is called a blighted ovum. And it's when you become pregnant and your body thinks that it's pregnant. You have a sac, but there's nothing in it. There's no baby. Somewhere along the lines, the baby was lost. So we had to make the decision of miscarrying on our own versus waiting to do surgery for possible infection. So I had to induce my own miscarriage, which was devastating because I had never knew anybody that had a miscarriage. I had heard of miscarriages, but, not really, knowing the details, the ins and outs of it. And it was awful. It was the most traumatizing thing I've ever had experience in my life. It was painful. I felt like really dark. I was depressed. And my husband was there the whole time, but I felt alone still. Like, I felt empty. And then facing the world outside of that, I was embarrassed because I'm like, here we are. We done told everybody we're pregnant. We're so excited and made this huge announcement. And our plans didn't go the way we thought they were going to go. So through that, just going through a lot of depression, anger, jealousy of pregnant women, all the emotions that you go through, we all know them that have experienced it. And we decided that we were going to still keep trying. We're like, okay, we are believers. We know that God made us a promise, and we're going to continue to try, no matter how hard the road gets. So we continued to try, and again, we got pregnant again, and we had two more miscarriages after that, so 3 total. And talk about just devastation, it's like somebody repeatedly punching you in the face over and over and over again. And it's like you have all these visions, and you're like, God, you told me that I was going to be a mother. You told me that I was going to have kids, and you promised me that, but here we are, and we've lost all 3 of them. And I want to say that when I say that, I look at my journey like now, and I'm like, okay, the roadmap usually is always difficult. You got hills, you got lakes, you got all these different things that you have to go through to get to your destination. And when I think about our journey, I'm like, we had so many, things against us. We had so many losses, so many things that we went through. But at the end, God still had a final destination for us, but we just couldn't see it yet. So when I think about women who are enduring this now, it's just powerful to say that, you know, this is not your final destination. This is just where you currently are. And it's important to trust in that. With going through that, we ended up like seeking fertility counseling and things like that. So I did all this tests and labs and all these things. Everything came back normal, just to say that. I just had low progesterone and just some different issues. So we ended up like doing therapy and treatments and stuff. But through that, just in talking of experiencing and going through that journey, a lot of the times we don't talk about what helps or how do we heal? How do we get past it? So I think that in sharing my journey, which that's just a brief summary, you know, like, I don't want to take up all your time, but I also want to say that in going through that, because I don't know if somebody on here is going through it or just is needing some, you know, direction or just needing some help with processing everything. Writing was definitely therapeutic for me. It's just something that I do. I have a way with words. I feel like God gave me that gift. And so I wrote a lot. I wrote letters to my babies. I have journals that I still have that I still reflect on to this day. And I still write now. So writing, prayer, of course, you know, just getting in my prayer room and just going to war, you know, with this thing and just battling, you know, with God, alongside God, because I know that he was always there, even though, you know, I was going through all that I was going through. Meditation, music, just being able to take yourself outside of the feelings and just put it into something that's, you know, deeper and allowing you to be able to fully expand what your heart is feeling. And then just also, I feel like in sharing my experiences, I feel like it's so important just for all of us to share, because somebody's deliverance is tied to our obedience. So I feel like it is very imperative that we share these things and we share our experiences, no matter how graphic they may be, no matter how many years ago it was, you know, it doesn't matter, because it still happened. You know, our babies are still, they still matter. You know, it's not that they don't exist because 10 years have gone by or whatever the case may be. So I feel like you have to be obedient in, you know, operating in your gift and sharing your pain for purpose. So after we went through the infertility specialist and I went through progesterone treatments and stuff like that, we got our rainbow, CJ, who's now 3. And through that journey, just in speaking of being pregnant after miscarriage, it's also difficult to go through that, you know, because people don't talk about that part of it either. So it's also like you have to really get into the process of, you just lost 3 babies. Now you finally are here where you wanted to be, but then you still have all this darkness and, you know, healing that you needed to do to get through that. And it's like you're holding on to it, so you can't truly be happy for this baby. So I was very depressed. I was just in a dark period of my life. I felt like I didn't really have anybody that understood. My family was definitely there. They still are there. They do balloon releases every year for us, and they're just amazing as far as supporting us with that. But a lot of my friends neglected me when this happened. Nobody really reached out. Everybody kind of avoided me. Like, it was like they didn't know what to say, or they were just afraid of what to say and how I would respond. Right. And to me, it just really hurt, because I was like, these people I thought were like my ride or dies, or like people that I really thought would be in my life forever. And I can tell you to this day, I don't talk to any of them, because I felt like if I'm your friend and you're going through anything, I don't care if it's the loss of your mother, your baby, your dog, whatever, I'm going to be there. And what people fail to realize is you could be there silently. You don't have to say a word. You could just literally be in the room and wrap your arms around me. You could just sit there across the room and just be with me, you know, and allow me to open up when I'm ready. And people don't do that. So if you're on here and you're just here for support and you have never been through it, it's just imperative for you to know that we as women, when we go through stuff like this, or if, you know, your friend was to go through anything like this, it's just being there, you know, offering your support and letting them open the floor when they're ready to do that. So that part of my journey really sucked for me, because again, I didn't have anybody that was reaching out to me constantly or trying to, you know, be there for me. And then like my sister was pregnant at the same time that I lost my babies, and my husband's sister. So I had to face that too. And I was very angry and jealous, and a lot of it, like I lashed out a lot because I didn't really know how to express myself, and I wasn't outletting and letting anybody know because nobody was asking, you know, like, so, and my sister's on here, she's my baby. Um, but yeah, just in processing all of that, I just want to say that thank you for like giving me this opportunity to share my story. Of course, you can go to my page or DM me if you want to know more. I share all the time, like she said, just different parts of me and just different things that I have to say when it comes to it, because, you know, even though it's been years, it's still there. You know, it never goes away. And I feel like not only that, like you said before, it takes time to heal. So these are our, you know, now that we've healed, now it's time to get to work. So, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I just thank everybody for listening. And if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Well, thank you so much. Everybody is bearing witness. You got the comment section going crazy. The chat is going crazy, but somebody's deliverance, I think Anissa retyped it in here. Somebody's deliverance is tied to our obedience. Sis, you said a whole mouthful, okay? Like, I cannot, and we've never even had a conversation other than, you know, just, hey, you're gonna do the event type thing. So hearing just, again, a brief glimpse of your story, it just gives so much, I guess, like a connection for me, another connection, to just know, like, okay, so I have a sis that went through this. And I know that I can, if needed, push somebody, hey, I have a sister that went through something similar. Let me send you to her, just to be able to give reference to somebody. Because I come across some people that have not went through what I went through. And I speak to what I went through. So having another resource to add to my list, to be able to say, I have somebody else that has went through what you went through and can help you walk through it, so that you're not alone. I think that just, it's just, yeah, you were saying a whole mouthful, sis. Like, so I thank you. I thank you. If you guys have any questions for either Angelica or Malika, y'all can either post them, because it's not that many of us in here, so y'all can either post them or unmute yourself and ask, or if you have something to say, go ahead, unmute yourself, ask, share, whatever the case may have you. Healing is a process, not linear. Absolutely. Who is this? Tanika. Healing is a process. It is not linear. Absolutely. Anybody want to talk? If not, that's fine. We will roll on through. Roll on through. I have a question. Is that somebody about to come on? No. I have a question for both of you. Either one, or we'll let Angelica go first. With sharing your story, what have you found has been the biggest, not hindrance, but what has been the biggest, maybe something that has kind of held you back from sharing? Is there any one thing in particular that may have held you back from sharing, if you did not share immediately after, or months after, or years after? Was there something particular that held you back from sharing? Or was it just, you know, once you was done healing, it was like, okay, go time? Was there anything that ever like stopped you from wanting to share?
Yes, just in sharing, like when it was happening, or like kind of just posting little things here and there, because people knew I was going through it, or my husband was going through it.
Mm-hmm.
But just, I think that for me, it was more of a lack of response, a lack of interest, a lack of support in me sharing, you know, like not really anybody there to uplift me and say, you keep sharing, you know, regardless of who's listening, keep sharing. Or not only that, just not feeling judged or embarrassed by it, because a lot of times people think that with miscarriage, you're supposed to grieve in private and not really tell anybody what's going on. So I think for that part of it was hard for me, because I had to realize I needed to take myself out of it and only have God in it. You know, it's like I needed to remove myself, my feelings, and how I felt, because it's not about me. It's about me sharing my story so that it can help heal other people. So it's just getting out of my own way, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Sister Malika?
I would say the same thing. Trying to avoid being embarrassed. For me, I didn't tell anyone on my own, so I didn't actually, and I should have, but I didn't give people an opportunity to be there for me, because I immediately was like, when it happened, because I got married young, and a lot of opinions came with that. I didn't think we were gonna make it, and we were too young to be married, and you're too young to have children. So here I am on my third one, and people love clocking our uteruses. So it's like you having another one, and I have 2 boys, and at that time, and then now I have 5 boys. So it was always, where's that girl? Where's that girl? Where's that girl? And it's like, that kind of was always in the back of my mind, like, what if that was my daughter?
Right.
You know, so that feeling of just like people having opinions, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear the opinions of slow down. Once I got pregnant again, wasn't that much longer after the miscarriage, I got pregnant again. I didn't want people to tell me to slow down. I didn't want people to tell me stay home. I didn't want people to tell me anything. So I didn't give people a chance to be there for me. And I avoided just having to explain myself. And the other thing that made me not tell was, I kind of felt like I needed to go into protective mode for my husband. Yeah. Because anybody who knows me growing up, like, I grew up with a strong family base. I had a really strong family base, and a very strong family base even in the mosque. So everybody loved me, praise be to Allah. Right. But people didn't know my husband like I knew my husband. So I felt like I had to go into protective mode of them not having things to say to him about what happened to me, or seeing me in a upset or sad and feel like they have to go tell him something about it. You know what I mean? Because we do that. We go to the men and we say, help your wife, do this, do that. And I didn't want to put him in that position. Right. So those are the 2 reasons that I felt like I had to, avoid being embarrassed and getting opinions, but also I feel like I had to protect my husband.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sister Anissa, your sister asked, what was the hardest part to heal? Was it the actual miscarriage, marriage, the embarrassment? What was the hardest part to heal? And both of you can actually share your answers.
The hardest part to heal, it wasn't that fun healing physically either. I'm not gonna lie, because it was a lot. It took a toll on my body. It really did, for sure. The hardest part really was I lost a lot of hair and my skin broke out. So that was my thing. Like, I'm very, like, my skin, when I get a little bump, I'm like, oh no, honey. Like, I don't like marks on my face. So to see like I got dry skin, I started stressing out. So my hair was coming out, and just that feeling, that was the hardest part for me. Because like, again, I tried to keep the outward looking a certain way to pretend like everything was okay. So when the outward started showing, it was like, all right, now that was hard, because now I can't pretend like it's okay. You can see it. So that was the hard part for me.
For me, it was the actual miscarriage and my marriage. Because when you think about the miscarriage, like she said, it's very graphic. There's a lot that your body goes through with that. And I don't think people actually realize it, because they feel like, since you didn't come home with a baby, you ain't really recovering from nothing. Right. So they don't really give you that benefit. But I just feel like I went through a lot, because number one, with my first one, I had to induce it myself. So it was very painful, it was very graphic. And then to have 2 more after that, I feel like my body was constantly in trauma, like it wasn't ever able to recover fully or heal from that. So that was hard. And then also my marriage, and it's not that my marriage was broken by it. It was just that we were both grieving separately, because we didn't know how to grieve together. My husband's very quiet. He's very like, not really, like men are, not really emotional. They don't really like to share when they're hurting. So that was hard for me to understand, because I'm like, I'm over here crying my eyes out. Why aren't you crying? It's like understanding that people grieve differently was my hardest part. Because girl, when I tell you, I was like, if I'm crying, you need to be crying. Like I was on him. But, just in going through support groups and stuff that we have here, and just talking with people, I learned that, I can't force how I grieve on him, and he can't force how he grieves on me. So together we can, talk about things and work through things, but also we need to give each other space separately to be able to heal from that. So that was definitely difficult for me to understand and process, because I was just like, this is my way, this is how we gonna do it, but that's not how it works. So just praying and, listening, help having other people counsel us and let us know, like it's okay to not be okay. Right. And just having my husband understand where I was coming from emotionally and where he was coming from and what he needed from me versus what I needed from him was very important, because we needed different things. Like I wanted to be held and all these different things, and he wanted to just grieve on his own and, have his space and go to the gym and work out. So just understanding those boundaries and respecting them.
Ooh, thank you. So that very similar to mine as well. I'll share that was the hardest part, understanding the difference in my grief and how I grieve and how my husband does. Because like you, sis, I was like, I'm sitting here in shambles. Where are you at? Like, why aren't you expressing anything outwardly? And so for my husband, immediately, I think that even the last day I was in the hospital, he was gone trying to at home hide and put away all this baby stuff, because he didn't want, me coming home to be, any more triggering, so he was busy trying to help me through my stuff and try to make sure I was okay. But I'm looking at him like, you're not grieving. Like, did you not care? Did you, does this not affect you? Like, what is wrong? And then it took years for me to understand that he literally was grieving in his own way. I was grieving in mine, but I had built up resentment because I did not see him grieving. I built up resentments that I had to work through with my husband, we had to come to a place where, okay, well, let's sit down and really talk through this, because just, acting like stuff ain't happen and, I'm feeling some type of way, got it all written out in my journal, and you have no idea that I'm feeling this way. It was unfair to him, and it was really unfair to our marriage for me to assume that he was not feeling or grieving in his own way. But it took a while for me to realize, like, bro, you not grieving? Like, we just lost our daughter. Like, where are you? And I think Anissa actually posted in the comments that they're hurting too. And that's the other thing, that sometimes in grief, sometimes our judgment is clouded, and sometimes it's hard for us to sometimes consider the other. But they are grieving too. They're hurting too. But as men, they tend to find other ways to either express it, or they're covering it, or they're doing other things to keep them busy so that they don't have to deal with those things. But God, that was just, that was me. That was me. So I thank you both for sharing and for answering questions. I don't think we have any more questions or comments.
Sister Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to comment. This is Sister Deanna. This is Malika's mom. I wanted to give both of you, I want to say I'm proud of both of you for sharing that, because as Sister Malika said, you may not always have someone you can talk to, but with a platform like this, you can allow yourself to heal and get it out, because to hold on to it, you never get to heal. So the both of you sharing it's not only helping someone else, but it helps you. And I know heal more and more over time. You get better and better. And as far as Malika, I'm sitting here and I'm listening. I'm like, I know half of this, but it's good. Allah is the best of planners. God is the best of planners. Because at the time, we're really, really close. So like she said, she wanted to protect her husband, and that's key too, that we do that. When she's going through things, I knew it. So for her to share it with me at that time would not have been good. I love him today, but he was on my nerve back then. So it would not have been good for her to share that. But she has her sister, and I'm sure, whoever she may have reached out to. But I would say if there's anyone going through that, find that person who's your confidant that you can reach out to. And you got Sister Michelle now, you see, and you got Sister Angelica, you got Sister Malika that you can reach out to. And this is awesome. So thank you, Sister Michelle. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much, sis. I appreciate all of you, every single one of you. Oh, Sister Anissa, you dropping jewels. Sis, you might as well come on the mic if you're going to keep dropping these jewels. She shared that men aren't even taught to show pain on any level. They need this group too. And it's true. They are absolutely not. My husband's even experience with showing emotion is a complete different story for a whole nother day. But it's just deep. It's layers to that. And so even with me sharing more and more about our loss has put him in a place where he's now comfortable that he can talk to other men freely about our loss. Because at first it was like, no, we not mentioning, we not talking about it. Like, oh, you can come talk to my wife with me. Like it was never like he was comfortable enough to talk or to share freely. But now he's in a place. We did an interview maybe like 2 years ago. He thought the interview was just for me to talk about loss. But when we got there, the brother was like, oh, you might as well let me ask you a couple questions too. And he was like, what? And so that kind of like threw him into, oh, okay. And so the brother, very cautiously asked him questions, not wanting to bring up any emotions that he wasn't, ready to deal with or anything, but he questioned him and asked him a little bit of questions, his insight. And I think that kind of opened the door for him being like, you know what? I do have a perspective to add to this. I did lose a child. And I think now it's nice to see him finally like joining in on conversations or, having insight to give, not just when I'm talking about it, but just to other men. That has been absolutely amazing. Let's see, comment section. This event was so much needed, super helpful and informative for someone who has never been through the experience, but is willing to help and learn. Thank you, Pooh. Thank you so much, Sister Nikki. Sister Michelle, your sharing your story has helped me become a supportive mother to my own daughter who experienced loss. Yes, my sis, absolutely. And I think that has what continued to push me, is that I understand that it's not even about me at all. It's not even just about little old me and my loss. It's about so many others. If I can just help one person, just one, then okay, God, I'm good. Because I realize it's not just my story. When I'm telling my story, it's not just about me. When I'm telling my story, it's because there's some woman somewhere that is sitting in a corner that is afraid to share what she has been through. I was there before. I was afraid to talk about it only because of how everybody else around me was acting about it. So finally, I'm like, you know what? I felt most liberated when I began sharing my story. So I encourage you all, even if you have or have not experienced, even if you have experienced a pregnancy or infant loss, I advise you to, whenever you get to that point, because let's face it, everybody moves at different, how they move is how they move. When you are ready to share openly, loudly, clearly, without holding back. Do not let anybody hush you. Do not let anybody silence you. Your story needs to be told. My dad used to say, you might be the only book that someone decides to pick up and read. And if someone decides to pick my book up, me, I want them to understand that my story is there's hope after loss. And that might not be everybody else's story, but that is my story. So I love you guys. Sister Anissa done raised her hand, so we about to put her up on this mic. Okay.
I'm going to be very, very brief. Sorry I don't have my camera on because I look like God don't love me right now.
Yes.
But one, like my mother said, just like super proud of both of the women for sharing, because I know that it's not easy. Specifically because I just know like my sister and how she does not speak. So when she was going through it, she didn't necessarily tell me all the ins and outs. She just told me that she had a miscarriage. And she didn't really give me the details, but because I know my sister, I was like, you're not saying much, but you're saying a lot by not saying much. So I was at her house often, like helping out with the children and cleaning up and stuff. So I'm really just saying that to say, like, it's really important, as like, not even much like what Sister Angelica was saying about like people not picking up on like, dang, can you read the room? Like picking up on stuff. Like she shouldn't have had to say, hey, I really, really, really need a friend right now. It should just be, I'm going to come over there because I should. Right. I'm going to help out because I should. But that goes along with just being able to pick up on social cues. And a stigma that we have in the Black community is not being able to pick up on social cues, because we had to deal with so much, not to get too deep, but we had to deal with so much during slavery that it was like, Black women don't feel. Right. And we picked up that with each other, like, she doesn't feel, you know, we all go through stuff, da-da-da-da. But it's like, yeah, but when you go through something, you're going to want somebody to be there for you as well, because the pain is specific to you. So it's going to be magnified. So being more empathetic and less sympathetic with people is what would, I believe, will help women that go through this, and just pain in general. People get through stuff better when we can literally put our emotions, like put ourselves in their shoes and feel the emotions, and then say, what would I want somebody to do for me?
Right. Absolutely. I'm just so happy you joined us.
It's true, she came to my house. It's true, she came to my house, and that night, actually, that day, and in my head I was like, why is she here? Because she was there when I came in the door. So she was at my house before I left the hospital. And in my head I'm like, why is she here? Because I don't like talking when I'm upset. I want to be alone, I want to be quiet, and it's a problem. That took a toll on my marriage, because my husband's a talker, I'm not. He's actually the one who'll be like, let's sit down and talk about it. I'm the one who's like, conversation over. So in my head, I'm like, why is she here? But she stayed at my house for 2 weeks. So I just wanted to add that, because it helped me a lot, even though I never actually said it. She was there. She really was.
You guys are so beautiful. But I think it's crazy, like, people not being able to read a room. We actually, I'll share briefly so we can move on, but we actually had like one of the worst experiences, like, in the hospital during my loss. First of all, let's just fast forward. I'm not gonna go through my loss story right now, but the chaplain, they always ask, can a chaplain come in? I was okay. I mean, I didn't feel like I needed a chaplain. My dad is like assistant pastor, so I'm like, okay, if you want to, sure, send one in. They sent one in. She came in, and her words were, because they're engraved in my whole body, her words were, congratulations on your baby girl. So it's me, my mother-in-law, and my husband in the room, and we looking like, there's no baby girl. Like, there's no baby here. And so she kind of, again, not being able to read the room. And so she kind of like looked around, and I was like, ma'am, I lost my baby. Like, I lost my baby. Oh, you know, and she was apologetic, and she left. But just not even, her job was to read the chart before she walked in the room, but just not being aware. I can walk into a space and know that somebody been talking about me, somebody got something to say. Like, I read energy, and I feel like it should be natural, but it's not natural to be able to read the room and read energy. But that experience, just that, there's so much that happened with mine, but just that, her walking in the room and not knowing before entering the room, or not even looking around, and it's dark in the room, like, we were going through it. It's dark, the shades are down, like, ain't no balloons, ain't no nothing to give you the hint there's a baby anywhere in this room. And it was, oh, congratulations. Like, I mean, the brightest, like, beautiful congratulations. But just being aware, I have family members that did not speak to me for a very long time because they just didn't know what to say. So to them, saying nothing was okay. No, we have to get out of, when you care for somebody, you show you care. How do you show you care? Even if you don't know how to show, you can ask somebody that's experiencing the loss, how can I be there for you? You can ask those questions. And I think we have to, along with educating others and educating the community and things like that, like, we have to be willing to tell others, like, hey, I need you to come and do this for me today. I didn't have any children when I had my loss, but I have sisters and I have, parents and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be like, surrounded by everybody. And it wasn't like that. Everybody like distanced themselves but sent text messages, distanced themselves but sent cards, so my thing is I want to keep sharing. That's what this is all about. Continue breaking the stigma surrounding pregnancy and infant loss. How do we do it? We continue to share. How do we do it? Educate others. But I'm rambling. So let's keep going. Sis ain't even read the chart. She didn't read the chart at all. So I'm going to go ahead and first thank you both, Angelica. Salam alaikum, Granny. That's my mother-in-law that just jumped on here. Oh, and my sister. You guys got some comments and things to share for us or questions or anything?
Yes, I had a comment.
Yes.
I just wanted to also, first of all, tell you how proud I am of you, and you look beautiful, and this is amazing. Man, I'm very, very proud of you and Nolan. But also, like, it's a family loss, and even though you said you didn't have any children at the time, when your children started being born, and as they live today, Miracle is so much part of their lives.
Right.
Like, they know they had an older sister named Miracle. They know she's the oldest, and they include her in celebrations and everything.
Right.
And it's part of that healing process, because it's like gone but not forgotten.
Right.
And they didn't have to physically hold her or anything or play with her, but she's such a big part of their life, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and yeah. And I was just thinking, like, when you was also talking about family, because sometimes they can overextend. I remember when you were there and they were all there and happy and ha and everything, like you were going to deliver a healthy baby. And it was like, are you guys knowing what's really going on? And then when you didn't want all of them in the room, they was like, well, why not? It was like, and once again, reading the room and acknowledging the situation, but man, Allah is amazing, because we get to heal and we get to celebrate Miracle. Only tattoo I have on my entire body is Miracle. And so, yeah, I'm very proud of you, and I'm very proud of your format and your book. And yeah, so you guys are amazing. And thank you to everyone who's online and who's celebrating, just our growth and our womanhood, and Allah, and just being able to get through life. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in and tell you how proud I am of everyone that's on today. Thank you.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you, Madre. And but you're on here, but you just reminded me that you offer a different perspective, and I'll probably repost it on my social media. But I also did an interview with my mother-in-law, Karana. Her perspective as a grandparent that was front center with our loss. When I say front center, she was there every step of the way. But I don't think we acknowledge that even as a grandparent, they have their own loss process as well. So I'll post that on my Instagram for you all to see if you like to see that. But thank you again, my madre, for sharing that. I love you dearly.
I love you.
We love you too.
Love you, Amy and nephew.
I just want to say one thing. This is so good what you're doing, and thank you to the sisters who shared their story, because me being from a perspective of not experiencing a loss, it helps me to better understand those who do, and to see you guys' strength. I don't know how you do it, because me with loss, I can't do it, and I don't deal with loss that well at all, period. So to see you guys' strength and your encouragement on how you can get through it and how to be there for one another is just something I appreciate, because again, I couldn't imagine. And it's you know, y'all give me hope that it's not the end. You know, if it ever did happen, it's not the end. So I appreciate y'all really for sharing your stories.
Thank you, you little beautiful lady and nephew.
Sorry, he woke up.
It is fine. So we are actually gonna head into sorry, my screen just blanked out. Okay. So we're actually going to go into just looking at the names, doing our moment of silence for the angel babies. I always think it is absolute necessary to always, if they have a name, call them by name. So these are angel babies that are not mine, but those that I am connected to. Those are part of Miracle Speaks. Those that are not even a part of Miracle Speaks, but wanted to provide their names to be honored and to remembered. They are the reason why we are doing what we're doing. So I'll probably share my screen again just to have a moment of silence. And after that, we will wrap it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So I'll go ahead and read their names, and then after that, we'll do our moment of silence. Miracle Michelle Alea Pratcher, Baby Williams, Hazel Grace Johnson, Grayson James Bates, Anima Graham, Jaden Alexandra Strokes, Harper Rain Strokes, Malik Yusuf Tittle Muhammad, Zaim Malachi Jericho Muhammad, Baby Barbie, Khan Twins, Baby Carter, Mason Tanner Lee Boyd, Baby Johnson, Baby Kamor and Amor Collins, Jamal Isaiah Captain Mosley, Baby Johnson, and Jair Muhammad. At this time, we're going to do 1 minute of moment of silence just to honor and remember our angel babies. All right. I do thank you all for honoring. I also will send out, if you submitted your child's name or a baby's name, I will be sending out like a certificate of life for the baby's names if you would like. So I'll be reaching out to everyone who submitted names. Just to provide a certificate of life, I think it is vital when you have a miscarriage or a infant loss. Sometimes in some circumstances, birth certificates are not provided. Just death certificates are provided. So just honoring and acknowledge that they had a life and they were here. So that's what the life certificate is for. So again, those that submitted their angel baby names or the names of an angel baby, I'll be reaching out to see if you would like one of those as a keepsake. I know I get keepsakes all the time for Miracle and they go right into her memory box. So at this time, I want to thank you all because this has been such an amazing time with you all. If you have screenshots, took a picture or anything, if you're posting on social media, please use the hashtag #MiracleSpeaks, all one word, and tag us. And can I get 3 for myself? Absolutely, Felicia. I will reach out to you after this for sure, for sure. You're welcome. So I'll reach out again to those for the life of or certificates of life. But I thank you all for joining us. My goal today was to hear other stories, hear from other women, their stories of loss, stories I've never heard. I've never fully heard Sister Angelica or Sister Malika's story of loss. But being able to provide a platform where others can share their stories of loss and know that anyone watching or tuning in, or even if they're watching a playback, will be able to be encouraged, will be able to be uplifted. That is the goal. Again, I always say, if I can touch and just change one life, then I'm good. And I truly, honestly believe Sister Angelica and Sister Malika, someone today is going to and has already heard something from the both of you that is going to give them exactly what they need. So again, I want to, or if Sister Angelica or Sister Malika, what is the best way for people to get in contact with you if they want to talk to you, book you, whatever? What is the best way to get in contact with you?
I saw Sister Angelica was already off of mute. You could go first.
My email is thelostbutterfliesfoundation@gmail.com. That is a more, if you're not really on social media type thing, or if you just want to talk about speaking engagements or things like that, that's more of that type of contact. But as far as social media, it's just Facebook and Instagram at The Lost Butterflies. My DMs are always open. So, if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to vent, anything like that, that's fine. And I also do have angel mommy buttons. So if you're a grandma, sister, or if you're a person that's gone through it, those are free. So you can request those too on social media.
Perfect. And I just posted it in the chat, her email address and her Instagram again. And what about you, Sister Malika?
I have two accounts. I have a marriage account that I keep up with that just talks about. You're always on it. On Instagram, it's called married_millennial. And that's where I kind of just go over little things. Me and my husband do live every now and then, but that's usually where people contact me at, as far as those kinds of things, the things that take toll on just life in general or marriage. So that would be the best place to contact me in that. And Sister Michelle also already put loads of learning. So I'm on either platform, would be fine.
Perfect. Oh, look at Anissa. I can't. She said she's your manager. Contact her. Well, I thank you all for joining us. So what I want to do, we have a lot of giveaways. So I promised y'all we was going to get into it. So we are doing 3 giveaways at this very moment. But before I do that one, I want to give a trivia question. And whoever can answer this first, the quickest, in the chat box and get it correct, you will win that last prize I have. If anyone can tell me what president named Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month and in what year? If you could just get half of who the president was, then okay, then I'll give you that. But I need the name of the president in the year, or one, at least the president. If the first person that could get the answer and put it in the chat box as soon as you answer it, you are going to be the winner. If I don't see nobody, I need some Obama. I can't. Obama is not the correct one. I'm gonna give y'all, you can try 2 more times, okay? 2 more. If you can get it, at least the president's name, you will be the winner of the last gift. Boom. My bestie, Ja'ana J. Lewis, actually got the president's name, Ronald Reagan. So, giveaway closed. Ja'ana, she actually answered it correct. It was President Ronald Reagan in 1988. He is the president that named Pregnancy and Infant Loss Month for the month of October. So, thank you guys for that. Let's go ahead and get into these giveaways. I have not done, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can actually see the winners being selected. So, we have 3 names we have to pull. Let's pull them. Wheel of names. Everybody's name that registered for the event is right here. You can see all these names. Not all of them are on the call. So when I send out the email blast, giving a recap of the event, and all the giveaway winners will be announced in there. So hopefully they check their email. So let's go for our first winner. This is for the Essence of Goddess package. Felicia, how you? Okay. Ashley Johnson. You are our first winner. You won the Essence of a Goddess package. So I'll be in contact with you to get your information. Let's go to our next one. We have 2 more. Jamisha Davis. You won our DMJ Beauty Essentials package. I will also be in contact with you. And our last but not least, a Radiant Beauty package, which is a beautiful package of some beautiful jewelry. Felicia, how funny is that? Felicia,
you can spin again because I buy so much from her already.
thank you.
You can spin again. Spin again.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see. Sister Belinda Muhammad.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. I will be in touch with you, sis, to get your information and to get your stuff shipped to you. All right. So our 3 winners, we got Ashley, Jamisha, and Belinda, and of course, Ja'ana, who won the chat room giveaway. That concludes everything. I am so excited that you guys joined me today. Special thank you to my 2 speakers. You guys have something special coming your way. So I love you guys. And are you?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to let you know that I wanted to donate 2 of your books to winners as well. So
okay. So,
yeah, so if you wanted to respin 2 more, and I have 2 of your books as part of the giveaway.
Well, thank you for that. I guess we have 2 more winners. We want to go ahead and spin. And the winners for these will be for my book, Hope After Loss, which I left it across the room, so I can't hold it up. So let's go ahead and spin for that. Shayla, but Shayla is not on here, as well as she has a lot of copies of my book. That's one of my good friends. So I know she will want me to pass that along to somebody else. So if there is, let's see, one more. I forgot to share my screen with y'all. Why y'all didn't tell me? Okay, there we go. This Tiara, maybe. Oh, it's Maggie. Again, my mother, someone who has this as well. So what I'm gonna do, so I'm not spinning and continuously spinning, if you would like a copy of my book, please say something now, and we will write you down to ship you out a copy. My mother-in-law is so graciously has sponsored 2 of them. So we will send out a copy. So if anyone, going once? Anybody? Me, John, I know. Oh, yeah. I know. Anyone else? If there is anyone else, just please, 2 participants raise their hands. Anissa, you have something to say?
That's an old hand.
Oh, okay, let me lower this hand. And Ashley, is that an old one too? I'm just seeing your hand was raised too. Ashley Allen. Okay, it's old. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this out. Again, if any of you got, I will take a copy. Tanika Collins, perfect. I will reach out to you. Tanika Collins, okay, I will reach out to you and get your information. Like a book, if possible, can't pay. Ashley, okay, sorry, I'm just seeing you guys' comments. I love and appreciate all of you guys, and I think that was it. My goal is to send out an email blast to every single one of you guys, so please look out for email. It'll have a survey, it'll have like a recap, as well as what you can expect next. And it'll also have the speakers' social medias as well. But yeah, I'm super excited. If anyone has any questions, comments, now is your time before we wrap this up in 4 more minutes. Love you, Malika. Thank you, Sister Michelle, for this platform. Thank you for joining us, Sister Belinda. And Ashley, I got you written down, so I will be reaching out to you. And okay. I think the game was rigged. I can't. Maybe we'll put you a special treat in there when I send Malika something. But I love you guys. I'm so thankful for you guys. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting something. Oh, how to support Miracle Speak. Sorry, I knew it was something. How can you support Miracle Speaks as we continue to grow and move forward? You can most definitely find us on Instagram. We love to interact with people on our social media. So if you have Instagram, find us there. Also, we're on Facebook. We have our own Facebook group, support group, where we typically host our live Wednesday weekly discussions pertaining to pregnancy and infant loss. So you can find us there. We are also on Twitter at Miracle Speaks. And then any donations or anything, this information is here for you. And if you just want to learn how you can stay involved and connected with Miracle Speaks, if you head over to our website and fill out a contact form, you will be added to our list when we send out our updates. And again, special thank you to Malika and Angelica again, to all of you guys, to our sponsors, Karana's Greetings, DMJ Beauty, Radiant by Radiance, Essence of a Goddess, Stamp with Love, Selfish by Nicole, and My Heart Speaks. Please check your emails tomorrow for a recap of everything. And I think that's all, beautiful people. I love you all, and we are officially done here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you again.